Welcome, everyone. We'll be starting shortly. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
It's 7 o'clock. Are we ready to do this? Yeah. Ready to do this?
That's right. Who's ready to do this?
Ooh.
Adonai Eloheinu
It's a special feeling this time of year. It's this feeling of anticipation, this feeling of giddy excitement. We're about to spend an entire day focused on that feeling of what it feels like to be forgiven. And anyone who's ever apologized and been forgiven knows that's one of the most special feelings there is. And so it's a very joyful day. It's a very exciting day. And it's also a day that has these elements of being somber and serious. And as we begin this day together, I want to draw us into the joy, knowing that we will be forgiven. That's the whole point. We already know how the story is going to end. And we take this day, this 25 sacred hours, to be together and to celebrate that magical feeling of being forgiven. I also want to acknowledge and express a lot of gratitude for the fact that Rabbi Mark Borovitz and Harriet Rosetto, our teachers, our leaders, are here in the sanctuary with us this evening. And it is something to be so grateful for that we have our teachers and our leaders with us in person. I want to invite Paul Bergman to continue with a community welcome.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Paul, a proud member and the board chair of Bet Teshuvah. I'm so grateful to our clergy, musicians, and the Zoom crews for bringing us these wonderful services. And special thanks to all the people whose stories have created so much positive energy and spirit. And hello to all you folks, whether you're in the sanctuary or the Zoomiverse. You know, Yom Kippur reminds me of back in the day when going to services with my parents was a have to. And services consisted mainly of prayers emphasizing an all-encompassing God. Prayers like, "We are but sheep and God is our shepherd." I called these parking lot prayers because the angry horn honking in the temple parking lot after services showed that people had already forgotten them. I'd idle away service time by making up metaphors of my own. We are but bike tires and God is our air pump. We are but pencils and God is our sharpener. These days, I probably would have made that one into, we are but mobile phone batteries and God is our charging cord. The God of these have-to services was a one-size-fits-all power with a long list of achievements. When I wasn't working on metaphors, I even imagined God handing his resume to an HR person at a job interview. "Let's see, you created the world in 6 days. Impressive, but you're eternal. Why the hurry?" Do I have this right? You create the world in 6 days, then make your people spend 40 years to cross a small patch of desert? No, I'm sure that did teach them a lesson. And you list a top skill as smiting. You're aware that we are a non-smiting facility and no using sticks to get water from rocks. We are under drought restrictions. You are okay working late on Fridays, I assume? Why Yom Kippur services changed to a place where to get-tos when I found my way to Bet Teshuvah. Thanks to Rabbi Mark, I get to come to a place now where prayers are commitments to action rather than words that go poof in parking lots. I get to come to a place where Torah aliyot are based on connections to Torah teachings rather than connections to the donor list. In the have-to services, I heard a lot about a covenant between God and people. But people in those services were little more than biblical straight men who served as foils for God's frustration, love, anger, and forgiveness. Now I get to come to services that pay attention to the human side of the covenant. Here we talk about our lived experiences, our struggles, passions, hopes, the importance of community, and about how to serve others by serving ourselves, how to serve ourselves by being of service to others. And I get to come to services that instead of a one-size-fits-all image of God, invite me to create my own image of a higher power. I can identify with a higher power that exists within me as impulse to act in a way that chooses or disavows life. I can connect to a higher power that doesn't exist in events, but in how I react to those events. One event and one day at a time, I create the unique resume of my higher power. As we embark on Yom Kippur services, may our higher powers help all of us create resumes that add decency, kindness, and dignity to ourselves, our families, our communities, and the world. May our higher powers help us to take responsibility for mistakes and make amends for themselves. And may we acknowledge the good that we do so that our higher powers can inspire us to continue to do good going forward. Again, welcome. May the coming year be filled with many moments of peace and joy for us all.
Amen, amen. Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing your words of intention and blessing and focus with us. It's my honor next to invite Harriet to the Bima to speak to us about speaking the truth.
Tov, everybody. I'm going to read the prayer first. O Lord our God, many are the evasions and deceits which we practice upon others and upon ourselves. We long to speak and hear truth, yet time and again, from fear of loss or hope of gain, from dull habit or cruel deliberation, we speak half-truths. We twist facts. We are silent when others lie, and we lie to ourselves. But we stand now before you, and our words and our thoughts speed to one who knows them before we utter them. We know we cannot lie in your presence. May our worship teach us to practice truth in speech and in thought before you and before one another. I get this prayer every year because telling it like it is has been my brand. Speaking truth. When people read my book or I tell my story, the response I get invariably is, "Oh, Harriet, you're so honest." And I think to myself, aren't you? And why is that so unusual? And I was wondering this year if we're hardwired in a way for deceit. If in our spiritual DNA from the Garden of Eden, Adam told the first lie, and that there's a part of us that is shamed about our imperfections, and that we are, it's easier to lie and to blame than to speak the truth. So when Chaplain Adam asked me this year, will you do the prayer to speak truth? I thought, are you kidding me? Actually, I thought, are you fucking kidding me? But it was an opportunity for me to really look at the lies I tell myself and the lies we have told one another. And anyway, I had a new white dress I wanted to wear, so. In the current climate of cancel culture, Me Too, upon advice of counsel, political and cultural mendacity, truth has become dangerous and costly. Litigants lurk around every corner, attorneys all too willing to stoke their grievances for financial gain. The end game is winning, distorting the truth for monetary gain, reputation management, or political power. Facts have become irrelevant, alternative, twisted, and bent, as tools to lie, deny, and blame others for our misdeeds. This climate has even trickled down to Beit Tshuva, that was built on the concept of transparency and authenticity. And truth has not been allowed in the last several years for legal misfortunes. Truth in our culture today is on life support, I think. And more dangerous than the lies we tell others are the lies we tell ourselves, to rationalize and justify our deceptions and hypocrisies. We lie to ourselves to inflate or diminish our worth. We lie to ourselves to avoid or deflect responsibility for our transgressions. I've told lies, many lies to myself this year that I'm struggling to release. My husband said, this is the Shemitah year, the year when we release. And I want to let go of the lies that I have been telling myself. And I'm going to share them with you so that I can be accountable. For the last year and a half, I've told myself the lie that there's no me without Beit Tshuva, that I don't exist anymore if I am not here, that I have become irrelevant, that my life no longer has meaning or purpose, that I'm guilty of founder's syndrome, the dreaded disease of founders. These are lies. And my truth is that I will find strength and healing and direction in the broken pieces in order to move forward. I'll continue to tell it like it is, to challenge the idea that we've always done it this way, and if we do it for one, we have to do it for everyone. I will continue to break the rules that don't make sense. And although I revere truth, I will remain irreverent and politically incorrect in all my affairs as long as I am alive. Thank you.
Harriet, Yasher Koach, thank you so much. So always such an honor to learn from you and to learn with you. Now that we are focused on speaking the truth, on the importance and value of speaking the truth, we are going to continue with Kol NIdre. We're first going to open the Ark, and I'd like to invite Rabbi Mark, Carrie Newman, and Nicole Goodman to the Bima as our first three Torah holders. And please rise.
בשבעה של מעלה ובשלווה של ממטה על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל אנו מדבירים להתפלל עם הברנים. vekoname vechinuye vechinuse ushevu Vedi asa na al nafshatana Kol NIdre vesare vacharame vekoname vechinuye vekinose ushevot Darna udeishtevana udeacharimna vedi Kol ircharat naveon velo kayamin nidrana lo nidre
remain standing, and I'd like to invite Russell and Lisa Harrison and Dr. Rebecca Scher to the bima to exchange the Torahs.
Kol NIdre vesare vacharame vekoname vechinusye vekinuse ushevu.
We remain standing, and we invite 3 of our Beit Yeshuva residents to the bima for the third and final Kol NIdre.
Kol NIdre vesare vacharame וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבות Shatana. Kol NIdre ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei ve'chinuei ve'kinosei u'shevot Shatana. Anya
We remain standing as we return the Torahs to the Ark. And we may be seated. I'd like to invite us all to open up our machzor. Some of us are following along very diligently in this piece of technology we call a book, very important piece of technology. Those of you in the Zoomiverse, I invite you to follow along in your own machzor. And this is participatory. What we're about to do has 3 different parts. There's a part where all of us speak together. There's a part where I speak by myself. And there's a part where everyone else speaks. Reader and congregation, reader and congregation. Everyone find that on page 4? We're following along? This makes sense? Okay. So we're going to read this first line together in the Zoomiverse. Please join by reading out loud or putting words from your heart directly into the chat. Here we go. Are you ready? Here we go. Forgive this community, the children of Israel, and all those among us, for all of us sin unintentionally. With great loving kindness, please forgive the wrongdoings of this people, as you have always forgiven our people from the days of Egypt until now. Yasher koach to you all. Great job. And see, this is the part I was speaking about before. We've already been forgiven. It happened right here. The rest of the day is about soaking that in. We continue with a prayer Shehachianu that celebrates how we've arrived at this moment all together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who granted us life, sustained us, and brought us to this time. And we all say, Amen. Now we're ready for our formal call to prayer, the Baruch Hu. Please rise. So we're standing up, that's good. We have a cantor who is definitely here, which is also good. We planned for this. This was always going to happen.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
And we may be seated. At this point in our service, it is my honor to invite Adam Rubin to the Bima to share some words about his experience, strength, and hope.
Thank you, Rabbi. My name's Adam Rubin. I'm a grateful member of this community. I came to Beit Teshuvah with no resources. I had nothing, and now I work here. And I just want to express my gratitude to this place that saved my life. There's not a doubt in my mind that Beit Teshuvah saved my life. And tonight, I have the opportunity to share my story with you. And so that's what we're going to be doing tonight, is just watching a little bit of a kind of breakdown of how I got here, what happened, and what my life's like now. So thank you so much, and I wish everyone a meaningful and peaceful fast. Thank you. My name's Adam Rubin. I'm a grateful member of this community, and I have 9 months sober. My dad was a famous anti-war activist in the 60s. Unfortunately, he was hit by a car when I was 5 years old. And growing up without a father was hard. I think it's hard for anyone to not have a father, not have someone to light the path. Growing up, I had a lot of depression. I remember being 10 years old and telling my mom that I wanted to kill myself. At 12 years old, I discovered marijuana, and I smoked it from when I woke up in the morning to when I went to sleep. When I was 16, I discovered a pill called Xanax.
And I didn't know that the kids were doing pills until he had his car accident.
I fell asleep behind the wheel. The next thing I remember was I woke up in the hospital, and I had a machine shoved down my throat, shooting air into my lungs. I just couldn't break this cycle of rehab, relapse.
He would call me as he'd be walking around from soup kitchen to soup kitchen, completely by himself. I mean, nobody, just by himself looking for food in churches.
My whole life just revolved around drugs. I was isolated. I didn't care about anything else besides getting high. This was what gave my life meaning.
He's been in serious trouble for 14 years. So I'm nervous, but now I know he's okay.
I never really thought recovery was possible until I got to Beit Teshuvah. Beit Teshuvah has been able to fill that void in my life and make me feel complete without needing to numb myself every single day. Reading the Torah in the context of recovery has been completely eye-opening for me.
Judaism is a big foundational element for Adam in his recovery, and the fact that Beit Teshuvah is a Jewish community and congregation and treatment facility, I think we were able to speak to a part of his soul that might not have been cultivated in other places.
It's not about money. You know, I had nothing in my pocket, and Beit Teshuvah was able to carry me through this for 9 months.
Giving to Beit Teshuvah is a partnership in someone's redemption story. It's not just about helping them get sober and paying for their treatment. It's helping them recreate their lives and giving them a life worth living. It's repairing family relationships, it's community building, it's participating in the congregation and developing a relationship with one's higher power. It's job training and placement, it's subsidized housing, and ultimately it's successful re-entry into mainstream life and having passion and purpose for what you do. Adam's story is one reflection of that arc of transformation. But as every board member or volunteer and staff member will tell you, we get to see this miracle each and every single day, and seeing countless people at different stages in their process of change and transformation.
I'm Adam Rubin, and Beit Teshuvah saved my life.
All of you, but I'm going to look at the camera up there because I'm also talking to our virtual audience, so I'm not ignoring you. I just wanted to say that from the beginning. Friends, good evening, good Yontif. It is worth repeating that Adam's story is only one reflection of the arc of transformation that happens each and every day at Beit Teshuvah. We are a wellspring of hope, of people entering our community and weaving together the shattered pieces of their lives into an awe-inspiring tapestry of redemption. Every day, our residents find ways to move closer to God, to make tshuva, and to build a life that's worth living. Recovery is bold, courageous, and demanding work. And as executive director, I also know that it costs a lot of money. It's expensive to run a world-class treatment center where folks stay here for upwards of 9 months. We hold on to our residents once insurance benefits expire, and in the vast majority of cases when there is no insurance in the first place. All are welcome, regardless of financial status, because in Harriet's enduring vision, redemption does not have a price tag. So tonight, I am appealing to you for your support of our mission and asking you to partner in our residents' redemption stories. Many of you received this letter in the mail. I'm asking you to tear off the bottom and mail it back to us with a gift. And there are 3 other easy ways to give. Jillian is putting this information in the chat box. You can donate by Venmo. You can go to our website, beitshuva.org/Kol NIdre. Or you can email Jillian at jcoventry@beitteshuva.org. And most importantly, I wish for you and your families a good year, one with good health, connection, and awe.
Yasher Koach, to Sergio, to Adam, thank you both for sharing your stories, sharing your perspectives, and doing what it takes to support this community. Sergio. Amazing. Please.
So I have a challenge from Rabbi Mark Borovitz and Harriet Rosetto, who are willing to give $1,800 for 50 people, if 50 people give $1,800 as well. Is that right, Rabbi?
$1,800 they could give more, but
at least $1,800, 50 people. Rabbi Mark and Harriet are generously donating $1,800. So I appeal to you again, and thank you for your generosity of spirit.
Yes. Love a good Tzedakah match challenge. This is amazing. We'll continue with Ma'ariv Aravim, celebrating the bringing on of the evening and this Kol NIdre evening.
La 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 la. With a word, evening is spoken. With a word, our floodgates open. And our stars have been aligned. Yours to sparkle, mine to shine. Umaviyom, umevi laila. Umavdil ben yom, uvin laila. Umaviyom, umevi laila. Umavdil ben yonu ben laila.
Rolling light away from darkness, and darkness away from light. It's the sacred separation
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה ומבהיר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה into time forever filled, walking, weaving into spinning, until we are standing still. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yonu ve laila. ומבדיל בין יום ולילה ברוך אתה אדוני המרי
And we'll continue with our service with a kavanah on the Shema and Ve'ahavta, and we'd like to invite Micah to the bima.
Hello and good evening. My name is Micah Roush, and I'm a grateful member of this community and employee here at Bet Teshuvah. I was asked to speak briefly on the Ve'ahavta and the Shema tonight. The Ve'ahavta commands us to teach our children to love and for us to love God with all of our hearts. It is the reason the Shema is in the mezuzah. The Shema, as I understand it, is one of the most important prayers in the Jewish faith, in particular, the first 6 words. Listen, Israel. Hey, pay attention. Adonai is our God. Our God is loving, caring God. Okay, check, got that. Adonai is one. Well, yeah, that's the point of a monotheistic religion. There is only one God. This got me to thinking about something that I was reminded of when I first came here to Bet Teshuvah, and that is that inside of each of us there is a holy soul, a bit of divinity in all of us. Adonai lives in each of us. And if Adonai lives in each of us, and Adonai is one, then we are all one through God, and what a gift that is. I can show my love for God by showing my love for my fellow man. I can show my devotion to God by showing caring and kindness to my fellow. For me, staying connected to my higher power is and being of service are paramount for my recovery. By giving my struggles over to God and getting out of self and being there for my fellow addict is how I am able to find the strength to achieve that all-important one day. In other words, by showing my devotion to God and trusting in God every day is how I'm able to remain in sobriety for over 19 months now. Thank you.
Micah, you're a man of few words, but when you do speak up, it is very powerful. So thank you for sharing your beautiful words with us. We're going to go to the Zoom verse for, we're going to actually say the Shema and Ve'ahavta, huh? I'm getting ahead of myself up here already.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך וניברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
We're going to continue on Zoom with Joe D to give a kavanah on Mi Kamocha.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah? Hey everyone, Shana Tova. My name is Joe D, and I am an extremely grateful member of this community. It's an honor to be here, and I'd like to thank Rabbi Joseph to begin with for asking me to share. Mi Kamocha. Who is like you among the gods, Adonai? Who is like you, adorned in holiness, awesome in praises, working wonders? Upon first reading the Mi Kamocha, I was instantly flooded with gratitude. To me, this prayer literally encapsulates my struggles with addiction, culminating with the miracle that Beit Teshuvah and recovery have been in my life. The countless rehabs and detoxes, the 20 years, give or take, in and out of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, the numerous close calls. See, I always fancied myself as being rather intelligent, and if you'd asked me what surrender meant, I could certainly tell you. But somehow, over all those years, it always escaped my attention that surrender isn't only a verb, but more importantly, a noun. In this case, a state of being. The state of being that I hadn't actually been graced with until coming to Beit Teshuvah. Throughout all years, I thought at numerous times that I was surrendering, but all the while trying to remain in the driver's seat, fighting tooth and nail not to give up the reins. God, I surrender. As long as you remember that I do want so-and-so, and as long as it works out as such and such, all good, I give in. See, to me, the Mi Kamocha speaks of God's unfathomable love, forgiveness, and healing, and all the miracles that each of those things brings to our lives. What I couldn't or wouldn't understand at that time was that by refusing to give up the reins, I was unconsciously holding God at bay, along with all the miracles that he or she, for lack of an actual God-worthy pronoun, was longing to grace me with. Albert Einstein is credited with saying, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Today, thanks to God's love, forgiveness, and healing, I truly do see the miracle in everything. My life is a miracle. The fact that every morning I wake up is another record for the number of days I've been clean and sober. And more importantly, free of any desire to get loaded is a miracle. Thank you, God, for guiding me to this state of surrender and gracing me daily with your loving presence. And thank you all for the part that each of you play in making Beit Teshuvah the miracle that it is, and for playing such a vital role in my recovery. I pray that each of you allow God and Beit Teshuvah to create the miracle of recovery in each and every one of your lives. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thank you, Joe, for your heartfelt words and the reminders of the miracles of surrender. We're going to continue with Mi Kamocha on page 6 of your Machzorim.
ברכותיך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה, זה לי ואמרו ונאמר כי פר אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
It's my honor to invite Missy up for a kavanah on Hashkivenu.
Hi, my name's Missy. I'm a grateful member of this community. Hello, Missy. I have been asked to speak on Hashkivenu. Thanks. Sorry. That's okay. Help us, Adonai, grant us life and peace. Guide us with your words and show us mercy. Shelter us from evil. Spread your wings of love. Help us join together as we count the stars above. So I'm winging this right now because life happens. And something I learned here at Beit Shuvah is to struggle out loud. So life has been difficult lately, and I'm not doing great, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, I go home at night, and I know that my higher power is there protecting me when I climb into my bed, and I have my sheets and my pillow, and a place to sleep, and a kitchen to cook my food, a job, family, people I care about, people that care about me. And knowing those things, I can go to sleep with peace and know that I'm going to wake up the next day, and even though it might be difficult, at the end of the day, I'm going to get in bed, and I'm going to be surrounded by God or my higher power to protect me. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Missy. Hashkivenu is on page 7.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros alenu sukkot shelomecha v'taknenu b'etza tova milfanecha v'hoshienu leman shemecha. Mechaser me'aleinu oyev dever מלפנינו ומאחרינו, לחיים ולשלום. מעתה, מעתה, מעתה,
Ata ve'ad olam, from now and all eternity. We continue with Ki Hine HaChomer, and I'd like to invite up Jake GR to give a kavanah.
Hey guys, I'm Jacob, and I'm a grateful member of this community.
Hi, Jacob.
I'm also a love addict and a drug addict. Ki hine kachomer. We are created from nothingness, or golem, by God, with great care and detail. He molds us from clay, smelters us out of basic metals, weaves us out of immensely complex pattern fabric. Each of us is unique, never doing it the same way twice. Reading this prayer, I could not help but be reminded of the midrash of the golem. In this story, a rabbi attempts to mold a being out of nothingness, or golem. He writes truth, emet, on its forehead, speaks sacred prayers, and commands the golem into being. His orders were simple enough: defend the synagogue, protect us. But the golem refuses to listen. Instead, he goes on a rampage, killing villagers and members of the congregation. The first letter in truth, Aleph in Emet, has to be struck from his face, turning the word truth into death. How did it go so wrong? After all, he gave the golem life just as God crafts us from nothingness. The rabbi, however, is not God. He cannot play God, but couldn't I? For years, I've tried to mold and adjust the world around me, altering my reality with intoxication, trying to control people, criticizing everything. But I am not God, and thus, just as the golem turned against his human creator, my carefully molded existence turned against me. Trying to take control of my world instead of surrendering to it had led me down a dangerous path, a path that included countless unhealthy relationships, a path that left me feeling empty and alone, a path of broken promises, a path of rehab after detox, after overdose, after rehab, a path that my parents watched with all the horror of a train wreck, but never left my side. I love you guys. A path that ended with me high on all kinds of drugs, crashing into 2 cars and landing me in court, and then here. I had turned myself into the golem. I thought I could shape myself, reshape my relationship with everything around me, if only I found the right prayer, or in my case, drug concoction. Since coming to Beit Teshuvah and exploring this path of spiritual return, I have been slowly but surely coming to terms with surrender and with acceptance, for I am not God. All my attempts at playing God only brought destruction. Thank you, God, for creating this beautiful and complex universe, this earth, these wonderful people I share the room with today, for my amazing treatment team, and for every little detail of life. I surrender to all of you. I continue finding what makes me so resistant to surrender, or my sword and my shield. And tonight, during Kol NIdre, I attempt to find them and lay them down at your feet. Today, Vinny asked me if I see God in everything. I see his signature in all living things. I see how the spiraling rows of seeds on a sunflower match exactly to the rods and cones of our eyes. I see how leaves grow out from the vine in the same twist across every species. The golden ratio, or as I see it, the God ratio, appears to me everywhere there is life and beauty. There cannot be such order and chaos unless it was molded. Like a potter molds clay, God has crafted each of us with such very and love that I cannot help but be humbled. I turn to you, God. I set my shield down at your feet, and I, Jacob, surrender myself to you. Thanks, guys.
Continue with Kine HaChomer.
Like a potter's piece of clay, like the mystery of a new day, like the hands and the thread of a weaver. Your miracles make me a believer. We are in your hands. We are in your hands. We are in your hands.
Like a gardener's hopeful seeds, you promised our hearts to feed. Like a stone in the hands of a mason, the beginning of its creation.
We are in your hands. We are in your hands. We are in your hands. Your grace saves us. Your righteousness defines us. Your love creates us. You heal like a potter's piece of clay, like the mystery of a new day. In my days I must remember what I had promised you last September. We are in your hands. We are in your hands. We are in your hands. Kine kahomer beyad hayosef. Kine
It's my honor to invite up Rabbi Mark Blumenthal to give a kavanah on the 13 attributes of God.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Blumenthal, and I am a grateful member of this community and a grateful member of this family of staff here. I also just want to say, most of you can't see it, but it's been wonderful to watch the interplay in the front row here of Rabbi Mark and Harriet and Cantor Nate doing a little conducting, and it's great. This prayer starts, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun. The words describe God, Adonai, Adonai, God of compassion and mercy, slow to anger, abundant in empathy and truth, assuring loving kindness for 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, and granting pardon. The words come from Exodus, and the words of God describing God's self to Moses as the Torah is given. So we assume they're kind of important. They describe God as mercy and compassion. And it always has struck me, I go back to the fact that we're told that we're created B'Tselem Elohim in God's image, therefore we are reflective of God, that we are taught that our behavior should be godly. And I'm reminded of a story the rabbis tell of how we, as human beings, our activities should reflect God's activities. And if we're told to pray, that assumes that God prays, which of course begs the question, what the heck does God pray to or for? And the answer is simple. There are multiple attributes of God. Here we have 13 around mercy and compassion. But the two principal attributes of God are din and rachamim, judgment and mercy. And what does God pray for? God prays that when those attributes, when those qualities come into conflict, that mercy wins out. And this prayer is a description of that compassion. If God has compassion, then we must have compassion. As Rabbi Miriam said, we know how this turns out. And yet we pray these words. We ask for God's forgiveness and for the forgiveness of those around us. But we have to first have compassion on ourselves. And that's not just what the Torah tells us, it's what our sponsors tell us. And for those of us who have grown up and gone through our addiction not having compassion for ourselves and not understanding what self-compassion means, that's why this prayer gets me so much. Because I believe that the act of teshuvah is compassion in action. It's our returning to our godly nature, to our ability to love ourselves and have compassion for ourselves. This is the work of recovery. learning how to have compassion for ourselves, just as God is compassionate towards us. Gemar Chatima Tova.
Thank you, Mark. So we're going to invite everybody to stand now as we do this prayer, because we're, as Rabbi Mark Borovitz will say, we're opening the gates of compassion. And who else wants compassion right now? Who wants a loving God, mercy of God, and forgiveness, right? So this is upon us to channel that energy into this room. And we're not gonna do it until Rabbi Mark says we're good, okay? So yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get it started.
Permission granted.
You give me the thumbs up if we need to turn it up or not, okay? How's that? Nicole, we need some more. Come on. Adonai, El Rachum Vechanu, Erech Hamayim, Verav Chesed ve'emet, Notzer Chesed lalafim, Nosei avon v'afesha, V'chata v'nakeh.
Here we go. All right, all you have something to release. I want to hear that release now. Let's do it.
Adonai.
Come on, release it.
Adonai. El Rachum Vechanu. Let it out. Erech Hamayim, Verav Chesed ve'emet, Notzer Chesed lalafim, Nosei avon v'afesha, V'chata v'nakeh. I think we need to do it again. I think we need to do it again. One more time.
All the hurts, all of the aggravations, all of the harms that you feel have been done to you. You release everybody. You give them compassion. You give yourself the gift of no resentment. Now, come on, let out all of those resentments and let's get these fucking gates open.
All right. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanu,
We've been yelling at the gates to open, open, open. And it's hurting my voice a little bit at this point. So let's try and do one nice and sweet. Let's whisper into God's ear.
Ooh, I like it.
Let's whisper sweet nothings into God's ear right now. Let's do it. Open the gates. Let's go.
I think we pushed the gates open just a little bit. We're going to be doing this for 25 hours, so get used to singing that hard. We're going to move, just as we shouted out to get our voices heard, I want to invite Zach up to give a kavanah on Shema Kol NIdre. Hear our voices.
Kamar Tov, everybody. I'm Zach Jones. I'm a grateful member of this community. Now I feel it. You know, that's the energy. That's Beit Shuva. Yes. All right, I'm going to read this prayer first. Shema Kol NIdre, hear our voice. Hear our voice, Lord our God. Spare us, pity us, accept our prayer in your gracious love. Turn us to you, O Lord, and we shall return. Renew us as in days of old. Do not banish us from your presence. Do not deprive us of your Holy Spirit. Do not cast us off in old age. When our strength declines, do not forsake us. Do not forsake us, O Lord our God. Do not make yourself distant from us. Okay. So I want to talk about how we banish ourselves from the divine. And what we do to free our minds and our hearts from the misery, really, and the confinement of self, that spiritual void that keeps us at odds with the universe and prevents us from feeling the presence of something bigger. So when I spoke with Rabbi Mark about this prayer, he reminded me that it begins as one of introspection. We have to seek and we have to struggle. He told me God wants us to return. We have to be able to tune in to hear the message. So how do we embrace that? For a long time, when I looked in the mirror and within, all I saw was the 17-year-old version of myself that I hated, the one that was stigmatized, unworthy, no good, defective, and flawed. Feelings are not facts, but there was validity in the disdain I felt. And with that deep sense of disconnection, there was no space available to feel heard or to hear, let alone experience anything spiritual. I was banished and felt alone. I felt banished and alone. And this was self-imposed. God never heard my voice because I was closed off to the sunlight of the Spirit. Being in recovery, I have to wrestle with old stories and old truths that influence the way I experience and understand my world and internalize the world around me. So truthfully, when I looked within, I never felt that God cared for me. When I looked inside some more, I found my purpose redirected to finding sparks of the divine in the world around me. Maybe God doesn't care what happens to me. Maybe he doesn't care what happens to any of us. What I have found, though, is that there's an energy and a spirit that we can tap into through action that helps fill that void, and whether that be through Jewish traditions and customs, spiritual wisdom, AA, for me it's been in nature, in this community, learning, exercising, listening, teaching, and probably most importantly, having a connection and sharing in pain and laughter with another human being who is also on the same journey seeking. And I think that's a universal truth, right? That no matter who we are or where we've been, if we're open to seeking connection with others, we're probably closer to God's presence than we're aware of. So I began taking actions that are in alignment with these new truths in my current reality. Since I became open to this way of being, I feel some peace. I don't feel forsaken. I feel sorry for that scared 17-year-old kid in handcuffs acting out of impulsive ignorance. I have compassion for him, for me, and for others. When I look in the mirror now, he no longer stares back at me. I see a slightly older, very much balder version of myself. And it's a version of myself that has made teshuva every day for almost 9 years now. I was never forsaken by God. I never sought God in all the different activities of daily life. My soul is tethered to something so much bigger than me now in this community that denying God's existence is impossible. I encourage you all to look within, but then to take a look up and look around you. Do it. Look up, look around you. Yeah. Forgive yourself and forgive the person next to you. You are worth more than the sum total of your past actions. In fact, those actions are what brought us to where we are right now, today, in this moment. And we have the opportunity to stand in truth, to be open and vulnerable with one another, to share transparently, to be, and to stay out of jealousy, judgment, and anger. And if I have harmed you in any way or any time during this year, I'm sorry. And I commit to being just a little bit better every day and not repeating the mistakes of the past. I hope you give yourself that chance too. You are worth it. And I'd be lying if I told you all that this community spirit, recovery, and transparency has not been harder to come by in the world and at Beit Shuva over the last 18 months. I have to believe, though, that it is all still accessible to us if we maintain a commitment to openness and to connection, and that our voices, our prayers, and our laughter will still be heard. Thank you.
Amen, Zach. Thank you, Zach. Shema Kolenu, the prayer is on page 8. We're going to sing that aloud.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chos v'rachem aleinu V'kabel v'rachamim v'rachamim uv'ratzon et tefillatenu Hashivenu Adonai elecha, Hashivenu elecha v'nashuva, Kadesh Yamenu, Yamenu kekedesh. Tashlichenu Tashlichenu Letziknot Kikla
Hear us. It is my pleasure to call up our colleague, Rabbi Carrie Chaplin, to share some words of Torah.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Carrie.
Gmar Tov is such a weird greeting. It's like kind of hard to say it back. It's not like Shana Tova, like, yeah, Shana Tova, Gmar Tov. Oh, yeah, cool. Gmar, yeah, you too. Anyway. When my nephew was 4 or 5, we were on vacation, my whole family, and we were in a hotel room, and we're all talking the way that, like, loud Jews from New York tend to talk, right? Like, this is my family, and we're all talking. It's very loud, and my nephew says I have to go potty, which is code for I have to poop. And he goes to the bathroom, and we're all talking really loud. There's a lull in the conversation, and he says, we hear, let it go, let it go. Oh, yeah. So that's what this holiday is. It's letting it go. Oh, don't worry, there's a couple more of those. A couple more poop jokes. I know it's Kol NIdre, but it's okay. This is all the stuff of life. My daughter is potty training. This is very much the stuff of life right now. So these last 19 months, I've been holding it together. Family, health, work, my soul, advocating for the souls, as Rabbi Mark taught me, of people who are suffering, of people in this room, and some of you who I speak with over Zoom. And I feel that holding together in my hips, like my muscles themselves think they can control this pandemic. It's painful, all that effort to hold things together, especially the things we can't control. We can't control the pandemic of COVID, and we can't control the pandemic of addiction. We can't control aging and illness and who is an addict and who isn't, or who will survive an overdose and who won't. And so often when we see just how much is not in our control in this world, rather than turn to what we can control, our attitude and how we respond to those things around us, we hold on tighter and tighter to the very things we can't control, and so we hurt ourselves with drugs, with alcohol, with codependency, gambling, gangster life, sex, food, unhealthy relationships. We hurt our bodies and our spirits trying to will things to be other than they are. But my nephew, in his wisdom of being 4 or 5 at the time, was right. When you hold on too tightly, when you try to control things that naturally move, when you try to control things you have no control over, to bury what can't be buried, you become constipated, spiritually constipated. Okay, I could take the metaphor a little further, right? Early recovery is like spiritual X-lax. It's very kind of uncomfortable. Spiritual counseling is a little bit like a colonoscopy, right? Like there's But I'm gonna stop, I'll stop. You get my point. When you try to control what can't be controlled, it hurts. It hurts in body, mind, and spirit. And it even kills. And whether it's the last 19 months of the pandemic or years of our lives living in addiction, we know this experience of trying not to fall apart, of trying to hold things together, of trying to grieve and live at the same time, of trying to manage the gambling or the drugs or the alcohol, of trying to use and work and be a part of a family and pretend everything is fine, of holding our breath until the next tragedy. And I think to myself, if I don't hold it all together, it will be the end of me. It can feel like the end of the world. This is a lie. The moment of letting go is not the end. It's the beginning. Rabbi Nachman teaches, I love this teaching. He teaches that a sigh, the body's way of letting go, is the beginning of tshuva. A sigh is the beginning of tshuva. So every time you breathe, he teaches, the moment before it dies, and a new moment is born. And when you sigh, you release whatever decrepit and bedraggled moments, the resentments, the fears, the shames you've been holding on to, just like Rabbi Mark was imploring us to do, to release those things. And then finally, there's room for something new. So I want to try it. You at home too, I want you to try it. It's going to be really weird for a second. That's okay. I want you to exhale, and then take a deep inhale, and just let out a sigh. Oh yeah, it's weird. Let's do it again. One more time. Exhale and inhale. This is tshuva. The letting go is tshuva. This is the beginning of tshuva. Now, before you let go, you might feel like, letting go might feel like an end. And in a way, it is an end. Because you're letting go of the resentments, the fears, the shames, the old stories that you've been holding on to tightly. But it doesn't stop there. Letting go is a beginning. So what are you letting go of? We heard what Harriet's letting go of. What are you letting go of? Whatever it is, God has already let go of it. God has already forgiven you. God knows you've messed up. After the flood, after God had wiped away all of creation for the evil things humans had done, God said, I will never again doom the earth because of human beings, since the devising of the human mind are evil from their youth. Nor will I ever again destroy every living being as I have done, so long as the earth endures. Seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. God says, I know you're messed up. I know you messed up, but we are still in relationship with one another, and I'm not going anywhere. The sun and the moon will rise and set, the seasons will come and go. And after the Israelites worshiped the golden calf at Mount Sinai, after seeing with their own eyes God's freeing them from slavery in Egypt, still they sin, and even then, God doesn't cancel everybody. It's just after that big mess up that God recommits. You are my people, and I'm giving you this Torah. God doesn't stick with us because God's codependent. God sticks with us because God forgives us. On Yom Kippur, God gives us a chance not only individually, but to collectively experience that forgiveness. And then the question becomes, will you receive it? Yom Kippur is our great collective letting go. And we just stood before a Beit Din of Torahs, when people kind of came up here and there were the 3 Torahs and different people came up to hold them. That was a Beit Din of Torahs. a court, both of this world and the upper world. And with great musical and spiritual drama and beauty, we came before God and said, yeah, we've messed up. Will you forgive us? And God responds even in the liturgy itself and says, I forgive them and I forgive you all as you have asked. Your slate, my slate, is now clean. Yo, we can breathe. We can breathe. We don't have to hold it all together anymore. And if you've been making big decisions for Beit Shuvah during these last 19 months, I know you're holding it all together. But at least tonight you could breathe. The key, of course, after you let go is not to pick it back up. Not tonight, not this moment. Don't pick up what you've let go of. The old self, the old patterns, the needle, the bottle. The key is to receive the forgiveness freely and breathe in that new moment. To breathe in connection. The poet David White writes, your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Beit Shuvah may be an individualized program. We may make our own choices about doing tshuva or not. But life is not an individual drama. Life is an overflow of intimacy. Johann Hari teaches, and we often say the opposite of addiction is connection. Yes, the essence of living is connection. Your great mistake and my great mistake is to think you are alone. You have not been abandoned. Look around. Zach invited us to do this too. Look around. Look at the other boxes. Go to gallery view. Look at the boxes in the Zoomiverse. You have not been abandoned. The evidence is right here. We pray together. We absolve our vows together as we did at the beginning of this service. We celebrate together. We struggle out loud together as Missy did. And if you live here, you eat together and sometimes sleep together. We do tshuva together. We choose to live together. Even you, even me, must notice that. You must notice how Chaya generously drives you to your appointments. And you must notice the way Sergio leads Beit Shuvah with grace and care. You must notice the way that Russell takes care to make sure all of us are safe. You must notice the way Zach and your counselor and Sarah at the front desk are going to tell you the truth because they care about you. You must notice the way that Zach E. stays with someone who won't even remember in the morning. You must notice how Drew hypes us every Shabbat. That's right, Drew. You must notice how no one stands alone when we say Kaddish. Even on Zoom, we find a way. And you must notice the way Cancer Nate sings with a whole heart like no one I've ever seen in my life. You must notice the love that drove Harriet and Rabbi Mark to make a place like this. You notice these things, right? The greatest lie we tell ourselves is that we are alone. You are not alone. Whether you're in the room here or you're on Zoom, you are not alone. David White, he invites us later in this poem to put down the weight of our aloneness. Can you put down the weight of your aloneness? And see one another and see yourself the way God sees you today. When you or I try to hold it all together, to keep the world from falling apart, to keep yourself from breaking open, to keep yourself from being human, you're feeding a dangerous lie, the lie that you're alone. But God knows the truth. And part of you knows the truth too. You are not alone. Every single one of us messes up, and that's what binds us together on Yom Kippur. That's what binds us together in recovery, because we mess up and we keep living and we keep doing better year after year and one day at a time and one grain of sand at a time. What makes Yom Kippur special is not the individual tshuva. In recovery, we do that daily. What makes Yom Kippur special is that we set down the lie that we are alone in our pain, in our mess-ups, in our brokenness. Yom Kippur is the surrender to being part of something bigger. This is the moment to surrender. To know it, you need to let go. As Harriet said, you need to release. So sigh out your shames and your resentments and your fears, and breathe in this powerful connection we have, this intimacy we have of how we care for one another. This connection is you, is us becoming something new. God has already forgiven you. Let it go. Gmar Tov, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Carey. And we all notice you too. We notice you coming in on your bike all the time. We notice you pushing us to be in truth as well and challenging us to live our truth. So thank you. And thank you for making sure we let it go. We're going to continue with Shema, hear our voices.
Turn us to you, God. Don't send us back to times of old when our strength failed us. Don't turn away. Don't turn
We are going to turn to Zoom for our last drosh of the evening from Frank Tell. Hi, Frank, you're on.
Thank you. Hi. My name is Frank Tell. I'm a board member and a proud member of this community. I want to thank Rabbi Adam for asking me to speak tonight and to discuss the Ashamnu, the confessional. You know, when I thought about this, something was missing in this prayer. It says, we sinned, we slander, we've robbed, we've deceived. It's we. And most of the years, we stand up together collectively and we press our chest and we repeat all these sins, but it's all that we've done this, we've done that. Well, where is my accountability? Where is it where I have to step up and atone for what I've done? And to compound the confusion in my mind, I looked at the beginning of the Kol NIdre prayer. And there it says, all the vows I made, all the promises I made, all the oaths I made to God this past year, they're null and void. I've been released from them. And goes on to say that whatever vows and promises and oaths I make next year, God has already released me from those. It left me wanting. It left me in a void. And a couple of days ago, I had a conversation with my daughter who's up in Santa Barbara. And she said something to me and I said, why didn't you call me before? And she said, because I was afraid to. I said, really? Yeah, I thought you were going to yell at me or criticize me, and I just was reluctant to call you. I must tell you all that in years past, I would have defended myself. I would have given my daughter every reason or excuse why she was wrong. But what came out of my mouth 2 nights ago surprised the hell out of me, to be honest. Because after she said, Dad, I was reluctant to call you, I said to her, you know what, Brett? Then I must do a better job as a parent. And when those words came out of my mouth, I began to realize that this is about my atonement. How do I make myself better? How do I treat my fellow man better? How do I treat my children better? How can I be a better parent? A better brother? A better friend? And then I looked and I did a little research, and it says in the Talmud that to achieve real atonement, and this is something I think the residents here at Beit Teshuvah will appreciate and it will resonate with them. What the Talmud says is, to achieve real atonement, we have to seek out those that we hurt. To quietly, but honestly, without excuses, without deflection, without explanations, go up to the people that we've hurt over the past year and apologize. To tell them, I'm apologizing because I said something to you in front of your girlfriend and I embarrassed you. I am really sorry. To tell a partner, I'm sorry I didn't give you the information that you wanted. I'm sorry I deceived you. No excuses, no deflection, but just honesty. And the other one who's receiving the apology then is incumbent upon him or her to forgive me, to forgive you. And if we do that, then as Rabbi Carey just finished saying, we get to let go. We get to let go of the shackles that have bound us and have frustrated us. and have hindered us in trying to move forward with our lives. If we let go of all of those hurts, of the resentments, of the fears that we all have, we can go forward into the future, which is what this is all about, because we're asking God to inscribe us in the book of life for next year. We want to be around, but I don't want to be around if I'm being held back by the resentments that I hold on now. I have to let go of that. I have less years ahead of me than I have behind me. When I lost my wife 3 years ago, that was really an eye-opener. We all struggle. We all have challenges. And we can give a myriad of reasons why we act a certain way and do a certain thing that causes pain to other people. We are human. Let's take this opportunity to let go of all of those resentments. In the quiet, while the book of life is still open, over these past 10 days, the opportunity to be inscribed is there. That's what we want, isn't it? That's why we're here. Take the time tonight and tomorrow to reach out to somebody in the community that you may have offended, may have said something that wasn't appropriate, and apologize. And once you do, you'll feel better. He or she will feel better. And then all of us can move forward. And hopefully, if we're inscribed in the book of life, we'll be here next year, hopefully having services in our beloved synagogue, and being able to look forward with a lighter heart and more hope in our hearts, and the knowledge that we've done the right thing. We've done the next right thing, and we'll keep doing the next right thing. And I do accept Rabbi Mark and Harriet's challenge, and I pledge $5,000 for the Kol NIdre appeal. I'm wishing each and every one of you a Gemara Chatima Tova. May each and every one of you find peace and love. And may you all, and all that you hold dear, be inscribed in the book of life for next year. Thank you.
Your inspiration. We have the opportunity now to rise, to say the Ashamnu. It's important, I think, to see the words that we're saying, because we're gonna gently pat our chest every time we do this. We don't want to beat ourselves up too much, right? We do that enough, but to know what we are saying. So the words are on page 9.
Heavy
accused. We have schemed. We have oppressed. And dealt falsely. Given bad advice. We have mocked. We have rebelled. We have despised. We have been defiant. We have transgressed. We have done crimes. We have rebelled. We have been narrow-minded. We have been stiff-necked. We acted wickedly. We have wasted. We have detested. We have gone astray. We have been led astray. Continue on with the Al-Chet. We have sinned against you willingly and unwillingly. We have sinned against you through sexual immorality.
We sinned against you knowingly and deceitfully.
We have sinned against you by wronging others.
And we have sinned against you by licentiousness.
We have sinned against you by disrespecting parents and teachers.
And we have sinned against you by violence.
For all these things, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. We have sinned against you by foul speech.
And we have sinned against your inclination to evil.
We have sinned against you by fraud and falsehood.
And we have sinned against you by mocking.
We have sinned against you in our business affairs.
And we have sinned against you by usury and extortion.
For all these things, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us at 1 minute. We have sinned against you by idle gossip.
We have sinned against you by haughtiness.
We have sinned against you by rejecting your commandments.
And we have sinned against you by betraying others.
We have sinned against you by being irreverent.
And we have sinned against you by running to do evil.
We have sinned against you by swearing falsely.
And we have sinned against you by breach of trust.
For all these things, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Avinu Malkeinu is one of the essential prayers of the High Holiday Liturgy. And a couple of years ago, Rabbi Mark, he's like, what does it mean to you, Avinu Malkeinu? Our Father is our King. What does that mean to you? I don't remember what I said, and he laughed at me. And whatever I said, he's like, man, they really did a number on you. And he says, our Father is the King. That means we're royalty. We're royalty. We're princes and princesses. Changes everything, doesn't it? How do we act when we're royalty? How do we act when we're from that space of nobility and dignity? Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu V'Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu V'Aleinu, Ki ein banu ma'asi. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu V'Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu V'Aleinu, Ki ein banu ma'asi. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu V'Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu V'Aleinu, Ki ein banu ma'asi.
You may have a seat. As you know, we all belong in the palace. And this is a moment where we turn to the people in our lives who we hold, who are in need of healing, who are in need of love and support. I want to invite everybody on Zoom to go ahead and share the names of those who you're thinking about on Zoom in the chat. And for everybody here to go ahead and share their names out loud. And I want to add Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, Harav Tzivia Chana Batsaro V'Yirachmiel Yosef, who is having surgery this week. We say the prayer for Misha Berach. This is one of those years where we're all in need of healing. So for all of us, may we have a complete healing of body and spirit. Let me just say amen. Ask you to rise for Aleinu before Mourner's Kaddish.
Aleinu nishabeach Adon hakol, lateit gedula leotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kiguyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יחיה אדוני אחד,
We want to honor those who have passed, and we want to invite people on Zoom to share their names. You can unmute and share the names of those who you're remembering in a year of mourning or commemorating their yortzeit. And for those here who are commemorating, I invite those to stand, and it is our tradition that nobody stands alone. So go ahead and share your names on Zoom, please, first.
Marcy Frank.
Jeremy Zager.
Art McCoskey and
Betty
Miriam
Lowenstein.
Samuel.
Dana Kroll.
My mother, Sylvia Mapta.
Debbie Albert.
Nina. Jane Glazers.
Reuben,
Beverly Rubin. David Dowd.
Hector and Jack.
My mother, Carolyn Goldmintz.
Joe Stabler.
My mother, Lois Cullen.
Jody Laybuck.
Brett Bergano.
Noemi Rebault.
Jody
Jonathan Pagan Ramirez. David Santiago.
Marcy Feinberg.
Louise Zakon.
And for those in the room. And Lucy Sitman. The words for the Mourner's Kaddish are on the back on page 13. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May those we have lost be remembered for a blessing. And Josh, I just want to say thank you for coming up here and standing with Ben as well. Okay, we made it. We made it through night one. And I just got to, give yourselves a round of applause. And speaking of applause, let's give it up for this incredible band and choir. Do you know anybody who rocks the bass in a talit better than Brock right there? We got Ted on drums, Mike on guitar, Tony on keyboard, Christina, soprano, Laura, alto, Stephen, tenor, and Ben for bass. And of course, Cantor Nate. There are a ton of people behind the scenes who made this happen. Jesse, Addie, Mike C, Mickey, Brandon K, Max, Chaya, Jillian, Nicole, so many people on staff. And I want to give a special shout out to Chaplain Adam Siegel as well. For leading the spiritual department and really taking us, you really put this all together for us and led our department in a whole new way, and we're very grateful for your presence and leadership. You guys remember, Rabbi Mark gave a challenge pitch. If 50 people gave $1,800, you guys are matching that, right? So I hope we heard, hey, what did I say? You guys are gonna give $1,800. You're not gonna match the whole, right? Okay. You can, $1,800. They're willing to match. So, please, there are chances to donate and ways to donate on Zoom, in person as well. Tomorrow we're doing this all over again. We start at 10 a.m. We're gonna have Yisker at noon. Jillian, how are we doing on that update? How are we doing on that challenge? How many we got? 11. All right. Rabbi Mark thinks he's safe, so we got to prove him wrong in the next 24 hours. It was only for tonight? Oh, come on. I thought that was live all of Yom Kippur. I'm going to challenge Rabbi Mark to keep that offer alive until the end of Ne'ilah, until the gates are really closed. All right, so tomorrow we're here again at 10 a.m. Yizkor is at noon. We're going to have gratitude group with Rabbi Mark and Harriet at 2 p.m. to 3:30, and then we close it off with Mincha and Ne'ilah again at 6 p.m. So please, please join us again. We really appreciate everybody's presence. Gemar Chatima Tova, and as we say in Farsi, Rabul Bashem, may our prayers be answered. Have an easy fast. Thank you, everybody.